Gonzaga Nation SI continues to bring content from both the Gonzaga perspective as well as the opponent's perspective. This time with Gonzaga traveling to the Bay Area to play Santa Clara this weekend. We're talking with Anthony Passarelli, the radio play-by-play man of the Broncos. Thanks for joining, Anthony. How is life in the Bay Area now that you guys finally got your WCC opener out of the way with the first 4 games being postponed?
Well, first, Dan, thanks for having me. Things are going well. We waited 22 days, I think was the exact count, from the last game of 2021 to playing Pacific in Stockton, a game that was twice rescheduled, but finally played. And I think it was a collective sigh of relief for Bronco Nation to get another game in, having won the last 2 prior to the new year. So things are going well. Of course, as everybody else is throughout the country and even the world, we're all waiting to see day by day how things are going to continue or be paused or, just trying to be flexible.
Flexible is the exact word that college student athletes, coaches, broadcasters like ourselves have to be in this day and age. But you mentioned about a 3-week or so pause for Santa Clara. You guys were 10-5. You got really good wins. I'm sure you've had a couple frustrating, disappointing losses, but the last win against Pacific was a monumental win for head coach Herb Sendek. Puts him at that 500 win mark for his career, which is an incredible milestone. What do you see out of Coach Herb Sendek at Santa Clara, and what does he bring that program?
So, it is a good question. And so, as a broadcaster who follows the team and goes to shoot-arounds and hits practices and travels with the team, I get a chance, and I do the coach's interview on the radio as well. I get a chance to interact with Herb quite a bit. He's a play it close to the vest kind of guy, but he's also just really adored and beloved by his players. And so while sometimes on TV we see, and I think a broadcaster made a joke earlier this year about how they saw Herb smile after a victory. That's a rarity. If you're around him every day, you see him smile a lot more than that. And getting that 500th win at University of Pacific, I don't know if you had a chance on social media to see his post-game comments. It was about the team, how proud he was of the team. And they got him pretty good with an ice water bath in the locker room afterward on the road in Stockton. Big smile after that. He's a guy who really has the respect of his players because of all the stops along his road of 28 years coaching Division I basketball, all the things he's accomplished and the players he's coached. He's coached some pretty big name players, ones that have made their way pretty nicely in the NBA. So he definitely has a respect to the team. And it was really nice after that win to see them really surprise him, because he's not easily surprised, but really show him the love in the locker room after the win.
Yeah, he did get that ice bath. I did see that on social media. It looked like he was surprised, but also at the end of the video, it looks like he knew it was well-deserved. So that was good to see. You mentioned he's coached a number of great players. James Harden's the first one that comes to mind, but this Santa Clara team was bolstered by the return of Josip Vrankic, with the COVID senior year being granted to others. Talk about his play, but then also the emergence of Jalen Williams, because those are kind of the 2 foundational pieces that I see when I look at your roster in allowing Santa Clara to challenge for a top 4 spot in the WCC this year.
Well, after last year regarding Josip, a guy who's had a fantastic career at Santa Clara, did have that option to come back for another year. If you know Josip and know how much he loves Santa Clara and his teammates and playing college basketball, you wouldn't be surprised that he decided to come back. He did have surgery in the offseason on his hip. And so he was working hard to come back and got the first few games in and looked like the Josip of old. He had one of his biggest games I've seen him play in terms of points and just generally being a leader on the floor against Fullerton to start the year. But then 3 games into the season, he contracts a mono. And so then he's out 8 games. So here's this return. Josip's back playing. He's scored over, I think he was over 1,400 points when he came into the season. And now you're missing him. So that missing his leadership and his production, obviously, was huge during a kind of a down stretch for Santa Clara, playing a tournament down in Southern California, losing to Fresno State, coming back, losing to Irvine without him in Santa Clara. But he's back. He played well against Pacific this week. And just if you're around the guy, he's always smiling, and his teammates feed off that. So having him back in the mix and now healthy is big for this team. As for Jalen, here's a guy, again, huge smile on his face all the time, likes to joke with the broadcasters. Sometimes during timeouts, he'll come over and point at something on my sheet or say, hey, wait a second. But Jalen has kind of had the steady growth. You knew when he came in a couple of years ago that he had the talent to produce and perform and contribute at this level. But just between the start of last year, even though it was a COVID year, and what we've seen from him this year, he's just made a huge leap. And the team has a lot more depth with Josip and Jalen performing. You've got Keyshawn Justice, who's playing extremely well. Also, always knew he could shoot three-pointers, has really improved his rebounding game, one of the tops in the conference in that category. And then you've got a couple of transfers in Parker Brown from Missouri and PJ Pipes, a grad transfer from Green Bay. And it's just an experienced team. I haven't seen too many of these at Santa Clara in terms of having that much experience at every position.
Yeah, when you look around the WCC, you see a lot of teams that were able to take advantage of the transfer portal in a good way. You mentioned PJ Pipes. I called the opening game this season where you guys had a home game against Stanford and you beat them. PJ Pipes played very well. If he plays at that level, he's going to allow Santa Clara to surprise some people in conference. But it was a great atmosphere that night. Things have expect if they're watching the game on TV on Saturday in regards to will it be a full house down in Santa Clara or will there be fans that aren't allowed in the building?
Well, this was just over the last, I think, 48 hours. The school put out a notice that it would limit the capacity to 25% of the buildings. 4,800 fans at Levy Center when it's sold out, and when Gonzaga comes to town, it typically is sold out. But they've capped it at 25%, and that is home and visiting pass, home team and visiting team pass list, men's and women's basketball season ticket holders, 600 students. So that's going to be the group, and they will be asked to wear masks the entire time. So they've concession stand. Santa Clara County, I think, is where we are, and that includes Stanford in that area, has been very cautious throughout this entire year and a half, 2 years of COVID. And so much so that last year, Santa Clara, the Broncos played quite a few of their games in Santa Cruz, which is about a 45-minute drive. So that's going to be the situation. It's not what we would like to have, but we understand with this variant of COVID and trying to be cautious that that's the way it has to be. So it's not going to be the typical Gonzaga comes to town, sell out, and, filled with students like we like it. But that's what it'll be. It'll be a different atmosphere for sure.
Well, I know Gonzaga always travels well with their fans, and they bring out the best home crowd. So hopefully the crowd that is there makes an impact for Santa Clara. And I'm looking forward to a good basketball game because I think the Santa Clara team is underrated in regards to when you look at the overall pieces on the roster. It's just that the top four teams in the WCC this year have really distanced themselves. But I appreciate the time, Anthony. I look forward to connecting again later this season when there's
All right, Dan, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. We're looking forward to a good game as well this weekend. And I'm looking forward to running into you on the road at some point. This is an exciting Santa Clara team to watch. They've shown it this year against Nevada and Stanford and TCU, another quality team. And so we're excited down here in the Bay Area.